until they get a mandate from government. For an update on what's stalling the wage talks, we're joined by Tahir Maepa, the Deputy General Manager of the Public Servants Association of South Africa. Tahir, thanks for your time, appreciate it. So let's talk about these negotiators being locked in. Tell us what happened there.
Well, the negotiators of the trade union, due to frustration that they've been going through for a couple of weeks now, because of the employer basically not coming to the wage negotiations with proper mandates, negotiating in bad faith, they've reached a point where they decided that they are not going to continue playing these games with this employer. They are going to lock up the employer representatives until such a time the minister decides to give them a mandate so that we can engage meaningfully in these wage negotiations. As you would be aware, this has been going on for over 6 months now, and our negotiators were basically sick and tired of being sick and tired, and they felt that they cannot continue with this charade that is being played by the employer. So they locked them in for 24 hours until we were called in to come and intervene this morning. I went there myself and the General Secretary of Pope Crew and SATU and NAPTOSA, whereupon we convince our negotiators that we allow the employer representatives to go home and freshen up, because the minister called us in to say that she has given them a mandate. But again, this is most probably the same lie that we got last week when she told us that her negotiators have a mandate, only to find that they never had a mandate when they arrived yesterday.
So what's the figures being bandied about here? What are employees asking for?
Well, our original demand was the 12% increment, the linking of spouse from the provision of housing allowance, the increase in medical subsidy, and many other substantive demands. However, as we speak now, we really don't know what is the offer from the employer, because they did give us an offer on the 26th of January under the then leadership of Faith Mutambi, only to be told with the new administration that that offer was not mandated. So as we speak, really speaking, to be honest, we don't have a formal offer from the state. We are hoping that we are going to get it by this afternoon. But if we don't get any substantive offer by this afternoon, that will basically mean that the talks are finished. We are going to declare dispute, and we are going to go into the mediation mode, which will be set for 30 days.
Now, it seems that negotiations for wage increases are affecting about 1.3 million civil servants. Tell us, if you do go on strike, which sectors particularly will be hard hit?
Look, if we're to go with what we are getting from our members, as you would know that the PSA currently represent almost 25% of the public service, and we are having members in many critical areas, including Department of Home Affairs, Department of Justice, and many other sectors that are giving vital services to the nation. If this employer doesn't come to the party, unfortunately, I'm seeing a situation where the whole public service is going to collapse, because the anger and the frustration of public servants out there has reached the highest point. I've never received such a hard-hitting feedback from our members in a very long time. They are simply sick and tired of this. The cost of living is going high daily. We have been told again that the petrol price will be going up sometime in May, and we all know that the issue of VAT increase and the current medical aid scheme of government, it's a mess. It's just taking money out of our members' pockets. So the anger is massive. I'm anticipating that if we declare dispute and eventually we go on strike, I'm anticipating that between 65 to 75% of public servants are going to down tools.
All right, and let's talk about the minister's role then. You have been interacting with her. She sent representatives to the negotiating table. What would you prefer? Direct talks with her on this matter?
Look, we don't negotiate with politicians. The minister is not the state. We are negotiating with the state. And that is why our position is very clear. We don't care whether it's Faith or it's Ayanda. We don't give a damn. The fact of the matter is that the state as an employer needs to come to the negotiations with a clear mandate what they're intending to offer us. Currently, we are playing political games. We are not in politics. We don't care about politics. Our members don't care about politics. We are talking bread and butter issues. What we want from this minister, and we have made it very clear to her, that she must come to these negotiations with a clear mandate. And to play these games of ping pong is not going to take us anywhere. We want a situation where we can conclude and say that whether we have an agreement or we don't have an agreement, so that we are given an opportunity to speak to our members to decide their future.
I mean, yeah, you don't deal with politicians, but she is the representative of the state in this instant. So, I mean, what do you do with that? You have to speak to her about it.
No, we have spoken to her about it, but she has proven to be a very dishonest person, because she tells us one thing in the afternoon and she does something else tomorrow morning. The fact of the matter is that the state is affected. It's not only the Minister of DPSA that will bear the brand if we go on strike. If we go on strike, the whole public service is going to be affected. But she's not the only mandate giver. She's just the custodian of this process. And currently she's collapsing this process of negotiations. And we are at a very sensitive stage as we speak. Practically, for all intents and purposes, the negotiations have deadlocked. Tonight, 5 o'clock, will determine what's going to happen moving forward.
All right, thank you so much for your time and insight. That was Tahir Maepa, Deputy General Manager of the Public Servants Association of South Africa. We will, of course, try to get reaction from the Minister herself, Ayanda Dlodlo, the Minister of Public Service and Administration.